Welcome to this graduation ceremony, in which above all we celebrate the achievements of you, our graduates. Those are the words with which I begin my speech when we have a normal graduation ceremony in person in the Senate House. But they apply even more so to this virtual graduation, which we've chosen to hold virtually to ensure your safety. Because, of course, ordinary Birkbeck graduates in normal years have a tremendous record of achievement. They've combined their work, their family with their studies and successfully achieved their goals. But you, our graduates today, have done even more than that. You've done that, but you've done it under very difficult conditions, where you had to study online, where perhaps there were issues about your internet connection, there were issues about whether you could use the kitchen table, whether your partner needed to use it for their work, and so on. And yet you have achieved your aims. So your achievements should be celebrated even more so than we would do in a normal year. And that is why I've chosen to speak at each of the graduation ceremonies rather than to pre-record my remarks. Of course, I have a message for you, our graduates, of congratulation, but I also have a message for your relatives and friends. You have had to make sacrifices. Perhaps you had to give up the kitchen table in order that your graduate could do their work. Perhaps you had to take the kids and look after them to make sure that they didn't interfere. So we thank you very much for the support you've given to graduates. But I also have a message for you. Birkbeck is for everyone. You too could study at Birkbeck. You too could seize back the kitchen table or hopefully benefit from the fact that now we are once again teaching in person to fulfill your aims by studying at Birkbeck. So I encourage you, our friends and relatives, to consider that. Birkbeck is coming towards its 200th anniversary. So if you do sign up, you may well be here for that tremendous celebration. And of course, it is a celebration because very few institutions reach their 200th anniversary, but still fewer do it doing something that their founders would recognize. If George Birkbeck, our founder, were to appear virtually to us today, he might not understand about all the different subjects that you've done or the way that you've done them. And he certainly wouldn't know about online teaching. But he would understand that we are benefiting working Londoners in the same way as he wanted to 198 years ago. And it's never been more important to be part of Birkbeck and for Birkbeck to do its work. As we see post-COVID and post-Brexit, jobs will disappear. People who thought that they had secure employment will no longer have employment as things become mechanized or computerized. But other job opportunities will appear. And it's absolutely vital that people are trained for them. So Birkbeck is worthy of support at the moment, particularly because we are delivering in that way. And that is something that government has recognised. It's introducing the lifelong learning entitlement to ensure that students can study for a full 4 years, not just for a 3-year degree. We want you, our students and our graduates, to lobby to say that that should be made more generous, that that should become the norm, that studying throughout your life will be something that is of tremendous importance. In turn, Birkbeck is doing its best to provide our students with the very best facilities. Last week, the Mayor of Camden opened our new facility in the Euston Road, a teaching facility with state-of-the-art facilities, particularly emphasising areas for student interaction, as well as lecture rooms and seminar rooms. We have recently purchased the building adjacent to our main building, Student Central, which we have renamed Birkbeck Central. And the use of that facility will allow us to fulfill our obligations to teach all our students on our own premises, rather than having to rent premises from others. So it's a very exciting time for Birkbeck. We're moving to our 200th anniversary. We are continuing to fulfill our mission, and we're doing so in a manner which is in accordance with government policy. So things are looking good. But of course, for you, our students, our graduates, today is all about congratulating you on your achievement. There may have been times when it all appeared really difficult, when it was just too much to struggle to get the internet connection or to get that essay sent in or whatever it may be. But you have done it. You have achieved your aims. And when people look back on the graduating class of 2021, they will say, yes, they're part of the 200th anniversary years of Birkbeck, but they're also a very special class who had to overcome enormous difficulties to get to what they wanted to achieve. On behalf of myself and all at Birkbeck, I salute you and your achievements. Congratulations to you all.
This has been a really difficult and stressful year, and we're incredibly proud of how you've managed it and steered your way through it. And although we would have loved for you to be having a day of graduation where you meet everybody face to face and hug and kiss and celebrate, we know you'll do your creative best to make this a good day. So from everybody here in the Department of English, Theatre and Creative Writing, we are saying to you, well done and congratulations.
Hey!
Yay!
Brilliant. Keep going.
Well, 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 who would have thought even a year ago that we'd be sending you off virtually into what will hopefully be a post-pandemic world of opportunity. Thank you for joining us on what's been an incredibly surreal journey over the last year. Huge congratulations on reaching this milestone. Getting a degree is no mean feat, even in the best of times, but I think you deserve at least an extra pat on the back for doing it under such challenging circumstances. But as well as challenging, I hope that the changes imposed in your last year of study have been rewarding and enriching in their own right, as they have in many ways for us. And I think it's fair to say that the future is looking a lot brighter than it did certainly this time a year ago. Although things remain as uncertain as ever, it's worth remembering one thing that makes your graduation particularly unique and outstanding. I think throughout history, human catastrophes have tended to give way to giant leaps in progressive social change. The birth of the NHS was rooted in the traumatic legacy of the Second World War. Who knows what's to come from this particular traumatic episode, but in many ways, I think it's a very exciting and hopeful time to be graduating. And we just want to wish you all of the very best in all of your post-study endeavors. Please do stay in touch and stay well. Love from FMAX. Woo!
Bye, everyone.
Yay!
Hey!
Yay!
Vice-Chancellor, President and distinguished guests, I present the following graduates from the School of Arts. For the BA Arts and Humanities, Michael Brown, Emma Hawkes, Emma Kaleshi, Rebecca Felix, Volker Gebhardt, Anam Kehan, Roya Mogbel, and for the BA Arts and Media Management, Marianne Cox and Awana Kuma. Please now unmute your microphones and give yourselves a round of applause. For the BA Creative Writing, Taylor Quinn, Alexia Stiolano, Georgia Sapsworth, Alice Roblin, Tara Mulvey, Linnea Carroll, Hassa Umran Denise, Gabriella Sepsik, Kevin Robertson, Natalia Onuyumeki, Teresa Gifford, Wasi Ladimeji, and Katerina Fucecki. And for the BA Creative Writing in English, Rebecca Bone, Eduarda Claza-Colvara, and Chesney Simone Ismail. So please now unmute your microphones and give yourselves a round of applause. For the BA English, Callum Good, Roxanne Hines, Olubaseyo Odowu, Harriet Thorne, Frederick Bingley, Francesca Arja, Jason Richards, Rebecca Dickinson, Yasmin Alatsioglu, Seda Islo, Shimu Hussain, Hannah Hughes, and Aifa Begum. And for the BA Film Media, Sam Bartholomew, Joe Ellis Williams, Abdul Mukeeb, Na Owosu Gale, Cleopatra Lewis, Jekaterina Chelajeva, Stephen Moore, Zalika Lediat Williams, Amelia Ferguson, and Sean Hollis. Please now unmute your microphones and give yourselves a round of applause.
You can clap now.
For the BA Journalism and Media, Maria Tsikori, Elena Abraham Arcos, Michaela Dumitrescu. For the BA Media and Culture, Nicole Carnival, Simona Freshy, Barbara Keynes, and Delroy Williams. For the BA Theatre and Drama Studies, Alaya Alakabi, Jack McIntosh, Rebecca Croft, and Anna Kennedy. For the BA Theatre Studies in English, Sophia Sullivan and Amy Marriott. For the BA Theatre Studies Joint with BA English Joint, Mandeep Kaur. For the FDA Arts and Media Management, Christiana Santera. For the ME Culture and Critical Studies, Anne-Marie Millwood. The MA Digital Media Culture, Ethan Corcoran. And for the MA Digital Media Design, Denis Dudarevs, Ekaterina Kladova, and Qinglu Chiu. Please now unmute yourselves and give yourselves a round of applause. For the MA Digital Media Management, Jocelyn Perez, Sharina Habib, Konstantina Batsi, and Asengul Sashi. For the MA Film and Screen Media, Harriet Adams, Iqbal Shadab, and Michelle Lugauskas. For the MA Film and Screen Media with Film Programming and Curating, we have Ethan Cross and Camilla Tassi. For the MA Film Programming and Curating, we have Tilly Hudson. For the MA Journalism, we have Cameron Barrow and Julia O'Mahony. And for the MA Modern and Contemporary Literature, we have Vincent Caccione. And the MA Text and Performance, we have Andreas Pallas. Please now unmute yourselves and give yourselves a round of applause. For the PhD in English and Humanities, we have Keith Jarrett with a thesis entitled Led by the Spirit, Exploring the Migration of Cultural Identity Through Oneness Pentecostalism from the Caribbean to London. We have Susan Jones with a thesis entitled Piracy, the Sea, and Self-Determination in Early Modern English Writing. And we have Frank Say with a thesis entitled Language, Violence and Landscape in Yvonne Vera's The Stone Virgins and Ekhaya, The Years of Childhood. For the PhD Visual Arts and Media, we have Donatella Valente with a thesis entitled Italian Film Avant-Gardes, 1960 to 1970, Ontologies of the Archive. And for a PhD in Arts Management, we have Matthew Morgan with a thesis entitled Mediating Art and Experience, Art Museums in Las Vegas. So please now unmute yourselves and give yourselves a round of applause.
Congratulations, everybody.
I'd like to thank you all very much indeed for attending this virtual graduation today, and to congratulate you on your success and wish you the very best for the future. You've studied in the midst of a global pandemic and succeeded despite the challenges you've had to face. Everybody in the School of Arts is very proud of you indeed. I'd also like to thank you for the contribution you've made to life in the school while you've been with us, helping to make it the inspiring place it is for you to study and for us to teach. I very much hope you'll stay in touch with us in the future. I'll now hand you over to my colleagues.
Today, it is my great honour to welcome Judith Pamela Kelly to a college fellowship here at Birkbeck, University of London. Jude Kelly is known to millions of people around the world. She's a theatre director with more than 100 productions to her name. Between 2006 and 2018, she was the artistic director of the South Bank Centre, Britain's largest cultural institution. Today, she is renowned for her work as the director of WOW, Women of the World. What do we know of Kelly? Well, she was born in Liverpool, 1954, second of 4 daughters. Her mother was a secretary and her father a civil servant with a huge commitment to self-improvement, which Kelly has inherited. In sectarian Liverpool, the fact that her father's family were Irish Catholic, while her mother's family were Protestants of German descent, they were even interned during the Second World War, not only taught her the importance of tolerance, but also the excitement of cultural difference. Her love of theatre, music, dance, and culture in all its forms developed at a very young age. So-called flat feet meant that she was sent to ballet classes as a young child. The classes were run by the West Indian Society, which had a significant presence in Liverpool at the time, indeed second only to Chinese immigrants, with Irish immigrants in third place. She attended the Quarry Bank Comprehensive School in Liverpool. Now, she did have a rocky start, skipping classes, shoplifting, but at the age of 13, she read Murder in the Cathedral, the verse drama by T.S. Eliot, and was enthralled. The creative energies of her school's headmaster, William Pobjoy, was also important. Pobjoy, incidentally, this is the headmaster who once caned John Lennon, and realizing it was wrong, subsequently spent his energies getting corporal punishment banned in schools. But anyway, he suggested that she start a theatre club. It thrived, drawing in the talents of entertainer Les Dennis and horror writer Clive Barker. Jude Kelly was on her way. She studied drama at Birmingham University, graduating in 1975. She was a folk singer, an actress at the Leicester Phoenix Theatre, but her real passion was for directing. So, the year after leaving university, she founded the Southampton-based touring company, Solid People's Theatre. This was, you have to remember, an unusual career choice for women at that time. One of her lecturers even told her that there were only 3 female directors. One's a lesbian, one's retired, and one's just killed herself. Which would you like to be? Nothing would dissuade her. By the early 1980s, she was artistic director of the Battersea Art Centre, where she set out making it a welcoming space with theatre, cinema, gallery, cafe. Then, between 1990 and 2002, she was the founding director and then CEO of the West Yorkshire Playhouse. Her talents made it a global landmark. It also cemented her disdain for the extreme provincialism of Londoners. She complained that in some people's minds, somewhere is the centre and other places are satellites. But she says that doesn't reflect population or intellectual movements, and it doesn't encourage people to think as big as they can. She set out to change this perception, directing over 100 theatre and opera productions, including my personal favourite, an incredible feminist critique of The Taming of the Shrew. Kelly brought her own distinctive voice to the canon and, along the way, directed Sir Ian McKellen, Patrick Stewart, Dawn French, the English National Opera, to name just a few. The number of awards she has amassed are too long to list. But her Singing in the Rain, originally at the West Yorkshire Playhouse before transferring to the National Theatre, stunned audiences with its use of multimedia, including film screens. Her production picked up 4 Olivia nominations and was named Outstanding Musical Production at the Laurence Olivier Awards in 2001. In 1997, she was awarded an OBE for her services to theatre, and in 2015, a CBE in the New Year's Honours for service to the arts. Now, Jude Kelly has also been important in the politics of the arts. She has a long-standing interest in widening the appeal of the arts to those who never consider themselves, and are not considered by others, to be the main audiences. Kelly served on the National Advisory Committee on Creative and Cultural Education, which was worried that the pressures of the national curriculum, coupled with reduced resources and facilities, were squeezing out the arts. This could only be to the detriment of creativity, the processes of original thought and action, which are the most powerful force in cultural change, as the chair of that committee put it. That committee wrote the All Our Futures report, 1999, which led to significant investment in the creative and cultural education of youth. However, it was her 2006 appointment as the artistic director of the South Bank Centre that provided her with this large canvas for her ideas. As she had done at the West Yorkshire Playhouse, she set about making the centre accessible, diverse and inclusive. Kelly urged everyone in the arts to understand the deep pain and sense of disenfranchisement of individuals, generations and communities who feel they have been excluded. For her, arts institutions are bodies of people who represent both the arts and the people who pay for them, which is the whole community. Their job is not only to nurture the artist, but to contextualize the work, to give it a place that makes sense to all of our communities, to allow whatever the art is talking about to enter the soul. Her work at the South Bank Centre transformed that institution. And remember, she combined it with leading the cultural team for the successful London 2012 Olympic and Paralympic bid, and then served on the board of the Cultural Olympiad. After 12 years as artistic director at South Bank, however, Kelly decided to leave. As she admitted, the move was like leaving a long and happy marriage for a more compelling mistress. And that compelling mistress was the WOW Foundation, an independent charity celebrating the achievements of women and girls globally, while also seeking to improve their lives. It now conducts these huge festivals in 17 countries, reaching millions of girls, women, and their allies. Her Being a Man festival from 2014 directly addressed masculinity and entitlement. In her words, the conversation about gender equality belongs to all of us. Gender isn't about women. It's about the way we position gender in terms of who has power. So it's really important that men are part of the conversation. Masculinity has many of its own problems, and being a man gave an opportunity for those to be discussed. For us here today, the WOW Foundation is collaborating with one of Birkbeck's most active research hubs. This is the interdisciplinary SHAME project, directed incidentally by me, but funded by the Wellcome Trust. SHAME stands for Sexual Harms and medical encounters. So it's dedicated to understanding and communicating knowledge about the public health aspects of sexual violence. Together, WOW and Shame are running a shameless festival of activism against sexual violence. It'll take place at the Battersea Arts Centre, 27th of November this year. You're all invited to register and to participate in our programme of arts, music, dance, theatre, hands-on activities, hope boxes and talks. What I hope that all of this makes clear is that Jude Kelly has a strong sense of responsibility to create better worlds for all of us. She believes that, in her words, if I don't use this position of power to change or try to change, at least to some degree, then I've really squandered the opportunities that were given to me as a girl and as a woman. After all, she notes, women today have so many opportunities because someone got us the vote, someone got us education. And even if we weren't as brave as they were then, we can all do our bit, and we all have to. She argues that bringing together women of all classes, backgrounds, and life experiences allows us to fight for things in a way that includes everybody's needs, not just those with a certain level of power. Now, if I have made Jude Kelly sound a little too earnest, nothing could be further from the truth. She is fun, optimistic, idealistic, and full of this kind of relentless and restless energy. As she told one interviewer, I am Lucozade on legs, me. She enjoys fashion, food, the work of female artists. Driving her convertible Mini to the seaside where she windsurfs brings her joy, as I'm told, does buying gadgets that she never uses. She's also a mother to Caroline and Robbie and lives with the author Andrew Cracknell, who has 3 daughters. But finally, I think the last words must go to Jude Kelly. She urges each of us to give ourselves permission to dream. If we can imagine the sort of landscape you would like to see developing without worrying about the practical aspects, we can then sit with others and consider how it would be possible to achieve that dream. The most important step is thinking boldly. By accepting this college fellowship, Jude Kelly signals her support for our educational and artistic missions. We are thrilled that she has agreed to become a fellow of Birkbeck.
Thank you so much, Joanna, for that wonderful walk through my life and allowing me to reflect on things that I've achieved and, of course, all the help I've been given to do those things. And thank you, Birkbeck, for giving me this fellowship. It's a great honour, and it's particularly a great honour because, as all of you heard at the beginning when David spoke about the origins of Birkbeck, this is for giving the opportunities for Londoners of all kinds to access education and dreams. And although I'm a Liverpudlian by birth, I'm a Londoner in terms of where I live and work. And so I feel very proud to join the flood of intellectual and emotional commitment that Birkbeck unleashes every year in its students. One of the things that I'm aware of as I grow older as a woman is that I still can connect back up to the 7-year-old girl in me that had a dream that I wanted to tell stories about myself. I didn't want those stories to be predetermined. I didn't want someone to have told me already that as a girl, this is the kind of story I had to have for my future. I felt rebellious against that idea of being contained in someone else's conception. But I think I also very much felt the same about everybody else too. Like, why would they need to be told that as a black boy or as a disabled girl or as somebody from a poorer background that their dreams should be minimized in some way when everybody's imagination has no boundaries no borders, except the permission we're given to dream. And so the theatre for me, the arts for me, gives an opportunity to tell stories, not just of what is, but of what could be. And that, I think, has been the most exciting voyage of discovery for me all the time, which is that imagination has no bounds. But of course, we know that imagination can be quelled, it can be suppressed, it can be made to feel ridiculous, it can be humiliated. Imagination can be taken away from people when they're told that actually they must be constrained, they must be obedient, they must follow certain kind of laws of tradition. And although I want the arts to be a place of total freedom where those rules shouldn't apply, of course the arts has its own institutional ideas of what's proper and what's not proper, what success should look like and who's entitled to it. And so I have spent my whole career battling against the idea of the imagination's constraint, but also the idea that the institutions of the arts should in any way ever be a weapon for holding people back, which of course creates a kind of perplexity around the canon, i.e. the history of what the arts has revered to date, because that history has rarely included girls' and women's stories. It has rarely included the stories of people who are not white and not Western. And even though we know that the breadth of opportunity and the breadth of talent and the breadth of the making of artifacts has covered the entire world, we know that the way that the canon has been constructed tells us one kind of story, which we're now rebelling against, thankfully, and saying that can't be the way that humanity is remembered. So for me, when I listen to a citation like that, it further galvanizes my sense that I might be remembered. That would be nice. But actually, unless I am remembered as one of the particles of a very, very intersectional universe, then I don't think I would be proud to be held up in a civilization which has kept others' stories at bay. And as I watched all of the students coming online, and I did actually feel most emotional and saddest at the realization that you and your families, your loved ones, weren't able to all assemble as one massive throng to give a massive hooray for all your achievements. The reason that made me shed a tear really was because it's something about seeing yourself as an individual and being able to take the credit for the success that you've got, which is so important. You are deserving of success. We all are. But also then to see yourself amidst a community of others and think, how can I both individually succeed and succeed on behalf and with others? That's the collective imagination. And I think that is the thing that is outstanding about humanity, our collective ability to dream of a future that we haven't yet realized. And my dream that has never been realized is that we would have a gender equal world, and that would transform almost everything about the way we think in society and the way power operates. And I still think that's a dream that is unrealized but attainable, and that drives me forward. And so that's why I'm both excited to accept this honour. Thank you. Excited to be working with Joanna on the Shame Project, and excited to think, well, all of you out there with your different degrees and your different subject matter interests, hopefully we are all colliding in some way, and who knows, we might even all meet up one day in different ways. We always talk about 6 degrees of separation, and this is a day when we have got no separation. So I'm glad to have joined you on this day of celebration, and thank you.
Hi, I'm Nee Ayikwe Parks. I'm a writer, editor, lecturer, broadcaster, producer, and publisher. I am the producer for Literature and Talks at Brighton Festival, senior editor at Flipped Eye Publishing Limited, and I was founding director at the Ama Ata Edu Center for Creative Writing in Ghana. As you can tell from that long list, I don't do just one thing, and I'm also Birkbeck alum, creative writing, 2004-2006, I was here. One of the main things that I learned at Birkbeck was to be flexible and adventurous, because I met lots of flexible and adventurous people in my year who gave me the courage to go out and do the things that I wanted to do as I wanted to do them. But studying here also gave me the tools to adjust my work practice. Before coming to Birkbeck, I edited poetry, but after working on the journal here, I started editing fiction, which I still do. And I also had the confidence to help set up a creative writing center in West Africa, as I've just mentioned. But I think the greatest gift I got from Birkbeck was my cohort of fellow writers who are still some of my closest friends, and we meet regularly to go over things. We haven't so much in the last couple of years, but anytime I feel like I'm stuck, those are the people I turn to first. So in addition to what you learn, I believe the greatest gift you get from here is the people that you've studied with. So please keep in touch with them, and together I'm sure you will do amazing things. Congratulations, class of 2021. May you change the world.
Greetings, everyone. Greetings to the Master, to my academic colleagues, but primarily greetings to you, the graduates today, and your family and friends who are there with you to celebrate your graduating. Congratulations to every one of you. So what is becoming clear throughout COVID, and this is the second year in which I've recorded this message. Last year it was rather more formal. I still pretended that I was at a lectern addressing a huge room full of people, but I'm not now. I'm speaking from my home on my laptop to each one of you. So it's to you that I'm speaking. And what we've learned over this time is that we are living through really strange and bewildering times. We simply can't predict what's going to become of the world. What's going to become of work and how we work? What about housing? Will we work from home? Will we live in different places? Will we move to the country? Will tower blocks cease to be what we want in life as places to either work or live? What will happen to all the different issues politically around the world? And what about the planet? Will that survive? There can't have been an issue as great as that since the start of time. So here we are facing all these problems and thinking it's never been as bad as it is now. Well, let me tell you, at other epochs, it's always seemed cataclysmic in some ways. When George Birkbeck called that meeting in 1823, asking working people if they'd like an education, would they please turn up at the Crown and Anchor pub in Fleet Street, 2,000 people arrived. He must have thought the world had changed. What happened? Did he mean it? Did he expect it to be that kind of response? And of course it was. It was changing the world of education forever. He can hardly have known. And also he can hardly have known what would develop, because he was living through a time of great change too. I made a note of some of them. I've got them here. The things that changed England at that time, the UK in general, but primarily the invention, let's say, of the railways. That must have seemed like the end of the world. The railways were going to take over. America would be conquered. The West, India would be revolutionized. The invention of railways in the 1820s must have felt like heralding the end of the world as they knew it, as indeed it did. Then there was the horse-drawn omnibus in London, public transport. Nobody had ever thought of that before, except in coaches from along the highway. The combustion engine was patented, presaging the most revolutionary change in transport you can imagine. All sorts of strange institutions were founded. The Metropolitan Police happened, the Oxford Union, where so many of our politicians, so many of our prime ministers have been the leading president, including the present prime minister. The Metropolitan Police, very important. The RSPCA, people started to care about animals, the welfare of animals. So these were all interesting ways of responding to change. And then, of course, the arts was flourishing at that time. We had the great sweep of great poets. Keats, not to live long, but to write wonderful poetry that still echoes today in the hearts of today's poets. Shelley, calling for political action to be echoed by Mick Jagger years later. Byron, of course, going out to Greece where he would die, fighting for Greek independence, a legend, leaving behind scandal, great poetry and political engagement. So this was an extraordinary time of change. And people would think, how are we to deal with it? It's challenging and it's a bit bewildering. Well, today is both challenging and bewildering. I would say you could sum it up in 2 words, really, briskly, from the newspaper headlines: COVID and Brexit. How are we to see both of those issues unravel and be some good? How are we to thrive? How are we to solve the problems that they present? Is the world getting better or is it getting worse? We just don't know how it's going to work out. And here's my message for you, because with every crisis, there is opportunity. George Birkbeck knew that, and I'm telling you it's your opportunity, because nothing equips people to deal with crises so much as a trained mind, knowing how to assess evidence, how to weigh up the pros and cons of argument, how to set out an argument without coming to blows, I hope, and how to deal with both the challenge and the bewilderment. Your degree at Birkbeck has put you in that position, and I urge you to use it to the utmost degree. You will relish doing so. Problem solving is one of the great delights in life, and you have problems ahead of you and the skills to resolve them. So to each and every one of you, my congratulations and good luck for the future.
Welcome to the Birkbeck alumni community.
You might be in the UK or much further afield.
It might be morning, afternoon, or evening.
Wherever you are right now, we as fellow members of the Birkbeck alumni community want to send our congratulations to you for what you've achieved.
Completing a course at Birkbeck in normal circumstances is by no means an easy endeavour.
So what you have accomplished is really something truly special.
Today you are graduating, and you should take a moment to reflect what a huge accomplishment this is.
Completing your studies does not mean the end of your Birkbeck journey.
You are joining a community of over 60,000 alumni in over 140 different countries.
So no matter where you are in the world,
you won't be far from a fellow Birkbeck graduate.
There are lots of exciting events, activities, and opportunities for you to stay connected with Birkbeck.
Visit bbk.ac.uk/alumni
to find out more and update your contact details.
We are proud to share this day with you.
Have a wonderful time celebrating.
Congratulations.
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 Congratulations.